This time on episode 248 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Legion Chapter 12 and weekly Marvel news.
I'm Josh Liston from On the Bubble Podcast, a proud member of the Gunna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at gunnageeknetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, July 1st, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast astral plane wide via www.geeks.live. Michelle, happy National Creative Ice Cream Flavors Day.
Yummy.
I know. What's your favorite creative ice cream flavor?
I think it has to be like the salted caramel with some like chocolate bits in it and such.
Wasn't there some Marvel specific character ice cream that was referenced in Infinity War?
Yes. Hulk has a flavor.
I think that Iron Man also had a flavor too, didn't he?
Yes, but apparently the Hulk one sells better.
Oh, yeah, of course. Is it green? Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Well, solicit to our audience if you have actually had the Hulk flavored ice cream. Please let us know if it is green or not, because neither of us have seen it. In the meantime, we're going to continue on with the podcast. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the multiple Defenders Netflix series on the Netflix, and for now, at least until they're moved off of it or shut down because of the Disney streaming service. Legion on FX, which we are continuing our discussion with Season 2 today, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel comic and comic book universes in general.
Because of D3 needing more bathrooms.
If you'd like to talk to us about dwellings needing more bathrooms, which I actually have some experience on, you can catch us on our website, legendsofshield.com.
You can leave us a voicemail complaining about the lack of bathrooms at your house at 844-THE-BUZZ-1, 844-843-2871.
If you want to talk to us about the lack of bathrooms in whatever facility you find yourself in, you can catch the ladies, including Michelle, on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/legendsofshield.
Well, if you're someone who reads Twitter while you're in the bathroom, you can tweet us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
First rule about tweeting from the bathroom. You don't talk about tweeting from the bathroom. And if you want to leave us a comment about the lack of bathrooms in your home, in your work facility, in your job site, you can leave us a comment on our YouTube video, which you can find at youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
And if you have an Amazon device, bathroom or not, you can tell it to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
Fun fact, I actually have an Amazon device in my bathroom. And by the way, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com podcast network. Now, both Agent Lauren and Agent Haley are not with us today, but they will return next episode. Michelle, did they leave a note about why they weren't there? Are they on a mission together or are they soloing? I just have been out of the loop.
I found a Post-it note. I think they're doing something together.
We'll have to get that story next episode. In the meantime, we're going to move on to our main topic event, Chapter 12 of Legion. Chapter 12 aired Tuesday, April 24th, 2018 on the FX network and earned a 0.434 rating. Legion, by the way, was renewed, as we've been saying all along, just to keep everybody in the loop, to make sure that you understand it was renewed for a third season on June 1st, 2018. 18. Now, this was not the lowest rating of the series yet, but it's close, and I think we're going to see some lower ratings as we go on, since this is July. This was in April, and spoiler alert, I've actually seen all the ratings up to date. So just brace yourself for lower ratings, although it was renewed, so that is good. And we've often talked about how these cable networks actually generate revenue. Maybe there's on-demand viewing going on that is not included in the Live Plus 7-day rating. So I suspect that there has been a shift in the model of how these shows are actually funded now because of the relatively low ratings on the secondary networks, but these shows keep on getting renewed and they keep on pouring money into it. So they got to be making money somehow. And Michelle, do you have an idea on that?
Well, I know there is a app and a website to watch FX programming. For the website, you do need to sign in with your cable provider, and you can then watch the shows, limited commercials. So perhaps that's something people are doing.
I'm actually considering reducing the number of DVRs in my house. I do have cable and I have 3 DVRs. Now that is extraordinarily heavy in this day and age with all the streaming devices. I was just thinking yesterday, I'm going to get rid of 1 or maybe 2 of the DVRs and put Roku's in instead. And with the Roku's, most of the channel apps are there, but you, as you said, you have to sign in with your cable provider. But it doesn't matter where. Like I could be on a work trip in a hotel in, I don't know, Djibouti. No, that's not true, but somewhere else in the United States. And I could go ahead and actually stream through my cable services through those apps. So I think that the Roku and some of the other devices are extremely useful. I just use Roku because it's more ubiquitous. But anyway, well, the only detriment to that, by the way, is you have to watch the commercials. You have to watch the commercials. And the commercials, like for instance, I'm watching 12 Monkeys on Sci-Fi right now. There's just been so many episodes that have been spewed out in one night that sometimes my DVR doesn't catch them all because, well, it's full with like Legion episodes. So I've had to go on to the Roku app and watch it through the Sci-Fi app on Roku. And I've had to sit through the commercials. This is good and bad. It forces me to get up or stretch or do whatever, unload the dishwasher. But if I just want to watch the episode in 42 minutes, I'm not going to be able to do that. So good and bad. I think it's good for the model, the economic model for the shows. And it forces you, if you can watch it through a streaming app and you don't have to pay for all the DVRs in your house, I think it's a good way to go forward. And I don't know. I can go back and forth on that. Is my time really worth the commercials? I don't know. All right, Michelle, we're going to talk about the creative team behind the episode, and I'm going to talk about the director first. It was directed by Ellen Kuras, who was a cinematographer turned director, and I think that is important for any of these Legion episodes. You really have to look at how it is actually filmed because it is the entire experience. It is how the scene is shot. It's how it moves back and forth with flashbacks. It's how the music is integrated into it. So a cinematographer being a director is probably a good thing for this show. Now, Ellen actually has 7 directing credits starting in 2008. She did 2 episodes of Falling Water, 2 episodes of Ozark, 1 episode of Legion. So this was the episode of Legion, 2 episodes of The Umbrella Academy, which is currently filming, and 2 episodes of the TV miniseries in production, Catch-22, which I have often watched the Catch-22 movie and thought that it needs to be brought up to date in terms of modern filmography. So Ellen has done some amazing things, and I'm looking forward to what she's doing in the future. Now, Ellen didn't write the show, did she?
No, this episode, like many of the episodes in this season, were co-written by Noah Hawley and Nathaniel Halpern. They are the co-creators of the show. They are the producers, and they really took the story into their hands because they co-wrote all of them up until 18.
Yep. Even looking forward to who's going to write all the episodes next year as well. Now, Haley isn't here to tell us what the meaning of chapter 12 is, but Michelle was wondering if you could fill me in on that. What is the meaning of the title chapter 12?
Well, the creators of Legion really worked hard about how to title every single episode, and they struggled with counting. Yes, that's right. They decided to count, and this is chapter 12 of the overall story of that is Legion.
I could actually see that because this series is so mind-blowing. It's so hard to watch. I had to watch parts of this episode about 3 different times before I thought I understood what was going on. So I could see if you're so confused with the episode content that you would have to revert to simple numbering and counting in order to see where you are in the series. I think I'll go with that. If you were Haley and you would have told me that, I would have believed you, but I believe you in this. So well done. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, as I was saying, the structure of this episode was a little difficult for me to watch because I didn't really understand what was going on. First of all, it took me a while to remember what had happened at the end of the last episode, which was we found Sid, who was still in her head maze, which that David had helped all the others try to get out of. And this was the more convoluted one where it wasn't the same. And David was struggling with what was going on. So in order for David to figure out what was going on, Sid, and I don't know if this was part of the maze that the monk actually created for her, or if this was her own doing, but she made David basically relive key sections of her life, Groundhog Day style, over and over and over until he finally got the message that Sid was looking to portray. So did I get that right, Michelle? Is there something else behind that?
No, that's pretty spot on. Sid was able to create her own maze, and it was a test for David. And it was interesting how long it took him to realize that it wasn't that monk maze that he assumed it was, that it was actually her creating these loops. We learn in the episode that David says, I've seen you in this museum multiple times. So we have no idea how many loops David has gone through, just like, Groundhog Day. We don't really know how many days went by. We just see 7 full loops, and then we see the 8th event, which is them in the igloo. This is a very interesting way to explore a character. This is a character study episode by basically messing with not only David's mind, but our minds.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it as I was watching it. Is this a filler episode? And I was like, no, I don't think so. I think this is a very important episode. And it's great that the creators were able to take this entire episode and focus it in on, as you said, the character study, but also the lesson learned forward that this is not a love story. This is them needing to do something in order to save humanity. So that is an important note. There will probably be sacrifices that need to be made along the way in order to get from A to B. But also, there's been this underlying tone throughout the entire series so far that David is actually becoming, we're speculating here that he's becoming the issue of the future, and that it starts with some sort of idea. This might actually be that idea. I don't know. And Michelle, you've seen all the episodes so far. The rest of us have not. The rest of us, chapter 12 is as far as we've got. The rest of us that are podcasting on the show, by the way, have not. So in retrospect, watching this again, is this a key episode for whatever reason, or was this just a nice character study?
At first, I thought this was just going to be a character study episode just to teach David that no, their love isn't a fairy tale. We're survivors, we're warriors, therefore we have to protect the lovers. We have to protect love because we're really not in love. That idea, what she does and learns and teaches David in this does come back in later episodes, especially near the end. because when she says burn with me, baby, at the end, Sid is assuming certain things about David. Sydney, right now, in this episode, she is assuming David is not lying to her. She is assuming that she is actually his compass because she is wearing the compass that always finds him. And she sees them as an equal partnership. They're supposed to get lost together. They're supposed to burn together. That's where Sydney is right now. And it's very important to remember this as the rest of the season goes on, especially the last 3 episodes. Because it's like, oh my goodness, when I saw the finale and I'm like, that's what Sid said that. And so it was really good to actually watch this again with that knowledge.
Well, good. So I would assume that with a series that has been created this well, and it is well put together series, that they don't have any throwaway episodes. So just want to make that point here in case anybody thought this was just a one-off. There was probably some deeper underlying moment to it. Thank you for pointing that out. And I will look forward to a rewatch if I ever actually have time to do it and to go back and say, oh yeah, I remember that now. So that's good. All right. So throughout this Groundhog Day time loop thing that Sid is taking David through her entire life, there is some important main moments that occur. There's the moment of her kissing the boy and with the other girls that are taunting her. There is the club moment. There's the mom reading parts of either a book or something that she wrote. I was a little unclear on that. And then, of course, there's the issue that was referred to last season with her body swapping with her mom and then ending up in the shower with the mom's boyfriend. So let's just take those one at a time. So Michelle, the boy event, her kissing the boy for the first time, I caught that as her growing into the fact that she knows what her abilities are and that she can get back not only at the boy who was taunting her, but at the girls who were taunting her at the same time.
Yes, we learned Sid has been bullied since she was young. And at first she is resisting the boy being kissed. She's like, no. And then he calls her a name. And then she sees her bullies again. And it is one of those 2 birds, 1 stone. And she kisses him and beats up those girls with what looks like, what is that, like a lacrosse?
Yep, that's a lacrosse stick, yeah.
And then when the body switches back, she sets up the boy. The boy takes the fall for the girls because she's just like, he just picked up that stick and started beating them up out of the blue. It's always interesting when you take a power and you always have to realize that the power itself, her ability itself, is not good or evil. It's how she's using her tool at that particular moment. And one could interpret that as she used it to protect herself.
That's true, although it might not have been in the best intentions this time around. I think there could have been a different way to go about it. But hey, when you're a kid and you just don't know what's going on in life, you haven't had that expanded experience, this might be one of the only ways that you know to reach out and defend yourself, as you said. What always freaks me out about Sid's power is when the body swap is over, they actually switch positions, physically switch positions. And that's just blowing my mind every time I see it. And I saw it in this time where she swaps with the boy, and then all of a sudden, when they swap back, she's in the middle of all the girls that the boy had just hit down. And if I'm coming upon that scene and I'm taking a look at everything, I'm thinking that she was the one who actually hit all the boys because she's right there with the lacrosse stick on the floor, or with all the girls with the lacrosse stick on the floor next to her. And she just says a simple word. I saw it myself. He actually came out and started hitting the girls for no reason. And then he is accused of it without any any remarks. So that's some powerful way to persuade people right there. And it's really freaky about the body changing positions as they go along. So the next moment that we'll talk about is the club moment. And I saw this several times and I was wondering how many bodies she actually swapped with when she was in there, because she didn't have her gloves on. What did I miss about that scene? Because I really didn't understand what we were trying to get from that scene.
We noticed that Sid is aware of her ability, and there's that moment at her mom's book reading where one of the guests accidentally touches her and she screams. She's fully aware, even when she's a child, that she doesn't like being touched. There's the pillow cuddle where the mom uses the pillow to cuddle. And it's her rebelling. She takes off her jacket, she takes off her gloves, and she just wants to touch and to experience life in a way that other people can. Teenage Sid, she has, imagine being a teenager. You're going through your hormones, you're trying to figure out your place in the world, and she has the extra burden of being a mutant. And it's her moment of rebellion, her moment of, I'm going to do this. And I am going to hurt a lot of people, because when she touches people, they get confused and then it goes back and forth. Yeah, that's basically kind of what it is. She's rebelling. She wants to touch. She wants to experience the world.
So my understanding of mutant powers is they represent themselves, they materialize about the time that you're going through adolescence. And when she's a baby, she doesn't have those powers, but she doesn't like to be touched. And did I get that right? That she doesn't have the powers from birth, that she grows into them and she just doesn't like to be touched, like, from birth?
I don't know what comic book part they're going with. I don't know if it's one of those things that it's like her body knows she has that mutant ability, and even though she doesn't have the ability yet to switch bodies, it's almost as though her skin knows that it's going to appear in adolescence. Or if it's one of those things that she just happens to not be touched and that ends up being her power. It's an interesting, because technically David was born with his ability, because when he was a young boy, the Shadow King was there. I mean, it's one of those things. Was it the Shadow King that was having David do all these things, and then David's power came later, or did David have those powers since the beginning?
And then if you look at the Loudermilks too, they basically had those powers from birth as well. Just because of the origins. Yeah, okay. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if anything changes along the lines of when does mutant abilities manifest within this Legion universe, and take it from there. But in the meantime, that is the discussion on the club moment. So there was another club, a book reading club or something like that. And Sid had mentioned last season, that her mom was with a very affluent boyfriend, and they were talking in high affluent cultures about concepts and books and that sort of thing. And so we find her mom, Sid's mom, reading a passage from a book to a club. And what was the point of that?
I think it connects to the lesson that Sid learns. The passage she reads is, afterwards, some are strong at the broken places. The word survivor used to mean one who has survived. But now modern psychiatry would have us believe that survival is a curse, like Sisyphus with his rock. And so every day we wake to survive again. And at the end of the episode, David is like, it is about being broken And when we rebuild ourselves, some of us are actually stronger at those pieces where we tack ourselves back together and we are able to handle more things and fight on.
Yeah, that the breaks actually grow stronger, that they grow armor around each other. I believe that's what happened in the end here. All right, now the most sensitive moment of the Groundhog Day, we actually only saw once, and I'm grateful for that. But that was with the body swap issue between Sid and her mom, and then the shower. And that just struck me, actually watching it, it just struck me as very across the line sort of thing. And David basically calls her out on it later, but says, I don't care what you did. I know we've all done bad things. I've done bad things, but I like you how you are, and I accept all that stuff. But this was something that we finally see Sid as in a basically an area where she crossed a line, wouldn't you say, Michelle?
Yes. And I think after the event, she realizes how far she went and how bad that was. Sid switches places with her mom. And as her mom, being in her mom's body, approaches the boyfriend. And the boyfriend's in the shower, and the boyfriend sees the mom, sees the woman that he's with. So, of course, he thinks his girlfriend is there and they are going to engage in sex. But then, like right in the middle of things, the bodies swap. And this is one of the core things of Sid's power. It's as though she is in the conscious of that one body and she carries that body to a different place. And then when it expires, her physical body catches up with her conscience. And that's why like the bodies actually switch. And then he ends up in a shower naked with this teenage girl and he gets arrested. Even though he didn't do anything wrong. The boy, when she's younger, you could say that the boy was going to maybe force himself on her because he does shove her against the fence. He is very much right there. He is physically stopping her from moving. And yes, what she did with the boy, with the bullies is wrong, but you could almost see why she did it. She felt threatened by the bullies and by the boy. This is a case of her mom was passed out drunk. Sid was not in danger. Sid was curious. We all are when we're teenagers. And yeah, this is a case of what she did was wrong.
Yeah, so she is curious and she can't touch anybody else. I think this whole thing might have turned out a little bit different if the mom had been conscious when the body swap actually happened. Mom was unconscious, so mom didn't actually experience the swap at all. She woke up back on the couch where she was to begin with. Even it was in a different position, but one could argue she was passed out drunk. She might not really know what was going on. And she was unconscious, and so she just assumed the other way. Although, as a mom, if I'm in that situation, I would wonder why the daughter was in there to begin with. Now, the guy, I mean, if this is a daughter and a guy boyfriend sort of thing, the guy is definitely responsible because he's the adult there. But I'd want to wonder how she ended up there to begin with. And I don't know if the mom actually ever knew that she was a mutant and that she has this ability. I don't know. Do you think that the mom knew about her ability or finds out later?
I think the mom knows something is up with Sid. There is that scene where after the club, Sid is tied to a hospital bed And then, of course, Sid ends up in the institution with David. So it is interesting to think about whether the mom knows or not.
I'd have to say that, wow, that's a good, that is a great question. I don't know, because if the mom knew, why would she put the daughter in a mental institution where she knew other things could happen? And if she didn't know, why did she put her daughter in a mental institution? Because I don't think anything has happened to date to warrant that. So why is she in the bed strapped down? I don't know. That just seems excessive to me, but wow, it's a formative event in her life, obviously. And then leading to the time where she met David in the facility as well. So I don't know. Listener, if you have some ideas on what happened here with Sid and Sid's mom and Sid's mom's boyfriend, please let us know, because this is a big event, I would think, in any TV show and storyline. I want to know what you think. Like, did the mom know about the ability? What does the ability have to do with an alleged rape? Basically, did Sid actually rape the guy? And if that's acceptable for a mutant or not, I don't think it is, but maybe I'm wrong there. All right. Any last words on that, Michelle?
No, one could say that it is rape because he thought he was engaging in sex with his girlfriend. And then all of a sudden, a teenager's there.
So misrepresentation?
Yeah, it's a misrepresentation.
Yeah. Could be. All right. So let's get back to the rest of the episode. At the very end of the episode, we see Lenny physically back. And I had to watch that a couple of times thinking, is this really happening, or are we back in the mind of Farouk? I did not know, and I'm guessing it's real because of the preview for the next episode, but it was really weird seeing Lenny back when everybody was saying that she couldn't come back because she couldn't become physical again. That was surprising to me. Was it surprising to you the first time you saw it?
Yes, very surprising. And it's disturbing how she was able to come back. That is all I'm going to say.
All right. We also get a brief reminder of the Loudermilk situation, the fact that Carrie with a K is actually there all the time, and Carrie with a C is actually within Carrie with a K, Carrie with a K being the female and Carrie with a C being the male. And they have basically body swapped their positions. And it is a big thing going on this season. So we got a brief reminder of that. And also I want to point out, I don't know if we've talked about it this season or not. I know we talked about it last season, was the effect of the music chosen or not chosen, silence in some cases, really to bring out the storyline, the plot, the emphasis, whatever the storytellers are trying to accentuate. It is a main component. It is not just thrown in there willy-willy. It is not the average soundtrack. Every piece of music means something in every scene. Michelle, have you really been noticing that? Like, for instance, the end music this time?
Yes. We actually talked about it when we talked about the first episode of the season and about the cover of White Rabbit and the lyrics of White Rabbit. This episode ends with a very unique cover of the Talking Heads song, Burning Down the House, which is very appropriate because that's what Sid says. Sid says, burn with me, baby. And those lyrics, our house, burning down our house, bring down the house.
Right. So definitely something to keep an eye on is the soundtrack, the music chosen throughout the entire episode. Very good, artistically put together story and content for each episode. Michelle, that's all I really have for this episode. I mean, one could say it was just repetitive, but I don't think it was. I think we got a message that will carry forward. And did you like the episode?
I did. It's the second time around. I mean, I was very taken aback by it because It was just like, this is all about Sid. Why is this all about Sid? It does pay off. I thought it was kind of funny that it took David so long to realize it was hers. I thought it was interesting, especially when he tries to interrupt her memory when she's a young kid and he stops those bullies and he lies about being a teacher. She's like, you're cheating. You can't just ask me. You got to figure it out yourself. Try again. Watch it again.
Yes,
it was just so unique of a way to do this.
Right. So also something that was unique that I picked up on maybe too late. I didn't have a chance to go back and watch the beginning, but I don't think the intro credits rolled until the very end. I think we just kept on going through the reiterations, and we never really got into the actual credits until the last act, like after the last act, basically, when it said FX Productions and stuff like that. So I'll have to watch it again, but I'm pretty sure I didn't see any intro credits to it. Do you remember at all that, Michelle?
I think I think you're right. I think it just started because the last episode ended with David in the snowstorm, and it begins with David in the snowstorm. Yeah, I don't think it happened until then at the end. And I wonder how they convinced the network to allow that. I know sometimes there are rules about stating production and doing those type of credits.
Right. To be part of the guilds, you have to have the credits up front. Yeah. So I was scratching my head on that a little bit, but I guess they could call the whole thing an intro up to that point, even though they had commercial breaks. So,
well, this is television. Television is different than movies. In movies, you've got to have, all this type of stuff at the beginning, and then you can save stuff at the end. This would be a network decision. They would have had to have gone to the network and said, hey, we kind of want to do this seamless two-parter. Can we not have the credits until the maze is completed and we get Lenny? And the network said, sure.
Yeah. So I'll keep my eyes on that for the rest of this series. I think this is a one-off, but I don't know. You never know. So creatively different from just about anything else that I've ever seen, which is not surprising with this show. So next week we'll be talking about, or actually next time we'll be talking about Legion season 2, episode 5, which is titled Chapter 13. Looking forward to that with hopefully Haley and Lauren. And in the meantime, if anybody wants to go out and find more great geeky content, just like you're hearing here on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., they can go out to the rest of the GonnaGeek.com network and find something that I'm sure you're going to like. Michelle, do you have a recommendation for our listener this week?
Sure. Digital Soup, episode 80, autoplay ads and the return of the Quiz Kid. This week, the guys discuss Facebook Messenger automatically playing ads, Mario Brothers, and Jason surprises us with a reverse quiz show. Stick around to hear us fail wildly as we try to discuss a product which we don't know anything about. Again, that's episode 80 of Digital Soup.
We have a few abbreviated news stories, actually some big ones, but we just have a few news stories this week as we go into the summer holiday week with both Canada Day and 4th of July. And the first story that we have is about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is also the Marvel Movie Cinematic Universe. And Kevin Feige, who runs Marvel as the head for Disney, says something interesting about the male-female ratio.
Yes, speaking to Screen Rant as part of a press junket for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Kevin Feige reflected a little on the changing gender balance in the MCU and where he expects things to go. Quote, but as the plan goes forward, I think, frankly, will be, eventually, I think we're going to reach a time where it's not just, listen, it would be amazing to see all of our female characters the way we have seen. Most, never all male, but primarily male. I think we're getting to the point soon where we have so many great female characters that those are just our heroes, as opposed to when all female, all male. It's just the Marvel heroes, more than half of which will be women. So he is determined to bring more female characters within the MCU in the movie universe. We're supposed to have a Black Widow film. There's rumors of perhaps an all-female Avengers, which would be A-Force. There's a comic called that, I believe. And it would be great to see more female heroes than male heroes for once.
I don't disagree. I think they're kind of reeling right now from the success of both Wonder Woman over on the DC side of the house, as well as the outpouring of people that want fans that want the Black Widow movie, and the team up that he's getting from his own actors in studio saying, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. I think this would be great. So he's in a point now where I think he's got to move forward with this. And I think we're going to see a little bit of it with Ms. Marvel, which will be great. And we'll see what else the Marvel Cinematic Universe has to say. We haven't gotten a full suite of what Phase 4 is supposed to entail. I don't think we will until after Avengers 4, once we finally figure out where they want to go with the universe. So, all great things. All great things. So, another example of a woman directing a woman-led show is over on Netflix right now.
Yes, Kristen Ritter is going to direct an episode of Marvel's Jessica Jones in season 3. Said Ritter, I am beyond thrilled to make my directorial debut on Marvel's Jessica Jones. The entire crew and cast has become family to me, and I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to work with our incredible team in this new way. I am so grateful that Melissa Rosenberg, Jeff Loeb, Marvel, and Netflix entrusted me to take the reins. That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing that episode because I think she's got some very unique creative ideas that are going to be floated out there. And it's always interesting when the star of a show takes on the directing ability. We saw it this past season on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Bill Coulson himself directed an episode. So that turned out well. And I think, do you remember that episode?
Yes, he did a good job.
He did indeed. So looking forward to Kristen Ritter's take on her own character as well. And then finally, Michelle, you lightened my day up so much yesterday when you passed me this wonderful video on YouTube. I watched it and probably need to watch it again. And please tell our audience exactly what has enthralled me so much.
Well, there is this YouTube series called How It Should Have Ended. The premise is they take movies and they do their own spin of how it should have ended. A lot of them explore plot holes and such. Well, they did Avengers Infinity War. And it actually starts with Doctor Strange doing his, thing. And they're like, can we win? And Doctor Strange is like, yes, there's 5 ways we could do it. And in this, How It Should Have Ended, it has 5 different ways Avengers Infinity War should have ended. I think the funniest one is with Wong when he appears in Wakanda and there's all those, aliens and he's just like, whoo, whoo, mirror dimension. My favorite, though, is the Nebula one because that's close to the comics. And she just punches Thanos and then she has the Infinity Gauntlet and she's just like, okay, I'm good. I'm out. See you later.
That's good. I won't ruin the rest of them for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to go see it. But How It Should Have Ended is a great series on YouTube, and I really enjoy watching it all the time because as geeks that podcast, we're inherently like die hard fans, and stuff like this can just gnaw at you until you kind of see it on the screen there, and you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. Somebody else has an issue here. So it was great. If you haven't seen it already, How Avengers Infinity War Should Have Ended on YouTube. It is a fun watch. And I think it's a little bit longer than your average one, but they had a lot to go through. At the end just kept on going and going and going, but it was all good. So thank you very much, Michelle, for bringing that to my attention. Even though I subscribe to YouTube, YouTube subscriptions, you don't get the notifications like you do with a podcast. So yeah, it was good to bring that forward. All right, is there any other news that you've uncovered that we need to talk about this week?
FYI, that rumored Avengers 4 title, that is not true. That is why I did not put it in the news, because it is debunked, is not official. So don't write in and say you didn't cover it. You didn't cover it because it's false.
There you go. So Haley controls our schedule. Michelle and Lauren control our news. And that's just how it goes, folks. I have no control. I'm the monkey flipping the switches here. So yeah, don't send any hate mail my way. And don't send any hate mail to Michelle on this either, because I agree with her. Title is bogus. All right. Michelle, I think it's time to Groundhog Day this one out. I want to thank our audience, our listeners, anybody that has watched this on YouTube, anybody that's downloaded the podcast. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to having the whole gang back together after the 4th of July. By the way, happy birthday, Canada, and happy birthday, America.
I like to thank everyone who listens. We enjoy the fact that you listen. We enjoy interaction. So please contact us with your theories about Legion, questions you might have, things we're not going over that you want us to discuss. We would really appreciate hearing from you.
We would indeed. And with that, until next time, I'm Director SP.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Bye. See you guys next time for episode number 249.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com, where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2018.